All right, y'all, we back. Yes, y'all, we are back. Just got finished watching The Last of Us episode 8. A hardened survivor, David, takes control of a 14-year-old Ellie. And this episode was really, really good. Oh my goodness. This episode was so good tonight. Started off, it was like a big old snowstorm, and David, he had all these people in there talking about the revolution and everything, and how he wanted to change things and stuff. So then this lady, this girl, she was sitting there, so she was basically crying because her father had got killed, not knowing that it was Joel. And I was like, damn. So I knew that Joe go hard. So, sometimes he had to do some stuff that he was not proud of. But so basically, David told her that he couldn't bury her father in the winter because it was cold. So he would bury him in the spring. So I was like, damn. So then David and James, his friend, was talking about not losing faith and believing in David and, trying to just bring all those people together that had lost somebody. So I was like, wow. So then David and James, um, basically they was going hunting. So I was like, okay, they going hunting for some deer and stuff. So then I like how they always switch up the scene. So then they switched up the scene and showed that Ellie was giving Joe some soup and stuff, and she was feeding herself because Joe, from the last episode, he had, really, really got messed up. So she had put some stitches on his side wound and stuff, and Joe was still sleeping, but she was trying to feed him and stuff. So then Ellie, she took Joe gun in the woods by herself, and she was hunting, so she was trying to hunt for this deer. So she slipped and fell, and I mean, well, first it was the bunny, but then she slipped and fell. So then she started hunting for the deer, and she shot the deer. It was a good shot. She was like, and then she shot the deer. I was like, okay. So the deer was walking like kind of limping, and the deer started taking off and running. So then, as Ellie was pulling up on the deer, that's when she spotted David and James. So David and James, they must have hunt. They was seemed like they was all hunting the same deer. So Ellie was like, "Y'all stand there." She wasn't letting her gun down. She was telling them to stand right there, or else I'm gonna shoot both of y'all. So Ellie told David that she needed medicine for Joe. So then David David told James, go ahead and go get the medicine. While Ellie was still pointing the gun at David. I was like, damn. Like it was just crazy. So Ellie was smart. She took all the bullets out of David gun so he wouldn't try to do nothing. So I was like, okay, Ellie did the right thing right there. So basically David was trying to talk to her and everything. And so they so they pulled up in this little house. So Ellie, David, and James, they was talking about being in the group and everything. And at first it seemed like Ellie was gonna let her guard down because he was telling Ellie that, he was a preacher and he was a teacher and he teach kids, in school and stuff like math. But I was like, I don't know, I don't know if you want to trust this person. He just had that look like he was gonna turn on her and everything. But man, this episode was so good. So then David, he kept up picking up people for his group and stuff. So he just kept on recruiting people like and stuff like that. So David, he was trying to gain Ellie trust, but we know Ellie, it's really, really hard for her to trust anybody because she only trusts Joe. So, David, he was still talking to her and everything. And then out of nowhere, as they was talking, James from behind had a gun pointed at Ellie, and David said, "Lower your gun, James." I said, "See that? Y'all see that?" David tried to set her up. and everything. So basically, they knew that they knew about Joe because David was like, yeah, we looking for someone who killed somebody. It was a tall man and it was a little girl. I was like, oh, stop. Yup, that's Ellie. I was like, damn. So basically, once that happened, Ellie, she still had her gun out because she didn't know what to do. I mean, she was basically set up. So James had gave her the medicine, and then she just ran out of there. I was like, you had to run because you don't know what's gonna happen. So she ran back to where Joe was sitting at or laying down at. She gave him medicine and she had a big needle and she put that in Joe. That was some penicillin on his wound so that I guess his wound could get better and stuff. But man, it was crazy though. I was like, come on, Joe, you gotta pull up from this. I'm like, you gotta, but I knew the medicine was kicking in, so he had to take, the medicine had to take some time and stuff like that. So I was like, come on, Joe. Y'all know me. Joe go hard. So David, this David is crazy. He was making people eat this nasty soup. And from what I had found out, like that soup, that I thought it was deer. Like it wasn't even deer. It was basically other people. So he was making them like eat pieces and stuff like that. And I was like, look, I wouldn't have ate that. I mean, for all that, they was hunting that deer. He could have gave him that deer and everything, and then that would have been good. So I was just like, damn. So now David, he was planning on to find Joel and Ellie, and David, his group was out there looking for both of them and stuff. And I was just basically saying like they should have cooked up the deer and stuff, you know. So then after that, they went back to where Ellie was still she put some more penicillin on Joe's wound and stuff to heal it. So I was like, man. But Ellie was good, she was really trying to help him. I was like, I was pulling for Joe. So then I like how they always switched up the scene. So then after Ellie did that, she went outside, she fed the horse some snow, and then she spotted the team that was hunting for her. So then Ellie gave Joe the knife and she was like, use it, Joe. Like, wake up, wake up, wake up, Joe. I was like, come on, Joe, wake up, wake up. But he was still recovering from his wounds. So then David and his group was hunting for Ellie. So then Ellie got on the horse. She walked around. She saw them first, so they had their backs turned. And then she was like, hey. And then she started shooting them. I was like, Ellie, you crazy? Like it's about like five of them. But she just started shooting. I guess to get their attention. So she went the other way, and as she was going, James, I guess he went down, and he sniped the mess out of that horse that she was on, and she hit the ground hard. So I was like, damn. I was like, well, I guess now they got her. And then David, he was like, he's going to send the men out to find Joe. So they was going door to door hunting for Joe. I was like, come on, Joe, you got to get up and everything. So I like how they kept switching the scenes. So Joe, he was waking up. It was another guy that was coming down the steps, and he was hearing what they was doing. So then I like how the scene, like it just like I was like, okay, I know Joe about to get him. So then the guy, he was looking around, and then Joe came and stabbed him right. Man, he stabbed him right in his neck. I was like, damn. And I mean, that was a brutal kill right there. So I was like, Joel is in survival mode. I was like, well, I know he gotta get a weapon, but he had a knife though. So Joe used that knife, stabbed him in his neck, and I was like, he got to save Ellie. So next, they put the scene back to where Ellie wakes up in this prison cage by David. But See, David, he didn't want to hurt Ellie. He just wanted to get Joe for what he did, taking out that taking out that little girl father. So David, he wanted to protect Ellie, and it seemed like Ellie was trying to let her guard down again. But I was just like, look, Ellie, the only person she trusts is Joe. So we knew that that wasn't going to happen. So I was just like, damn. But then they put the scene back up to Joe, and boy, Joe went hard on this scene. He had one guy, since I'm like this, he had one guy like tied up with tape and stuff, and like hands down, and Joe went crazy on this guy. He got that same knife, and he stabbed him in his knee. I was like, oh my god. I was like, this is insane. But he was looking for answers. He was trying to find out where Ellie was at. So I was like, he was interrogating him. He had to do something. And then there was this other guy that was behind him, like tied up too. But I mean, like he punched the guy. It seemed like before they came, he punched the guy a couple of times, and then he stabbed him. I was like, dang, whew. It was just crazy. I mean, it was just a real crazy scene. So then David, they switched it back. He was trying to get Ellie to eat that nasty food. I was like, Ellie, you better not. And she she kicked that food. She was like, I ain't. She said, I'm not eating that nasty food. I was like, yeah, don't do it. I was like, David, he is just a sick person. Like, do not eat that food. So, uh, David and Ellie, they started talking again, and basically, it was both saying David was telling Ellie like, he can relate to her because both of them being violent because the world was ending and all like that. And he said he was basically lying to Ellie saying his people follow them, they can follow you. He needs help and all like that. So he was at the cage. I mean, the way Ellie did this was crazy, was good. He put his hand on the he put his hand right out near her on the cage, and she put her hand right here. I mean, it was so quick. She grabbed his hand, man. She had to break at least like three of his fingers. I was like, that was so quick. And I said, damn, Ellie, like, Ellie go hard too. Shoot, Ellie went hard on that. Y'all, Ellie was just relentless. But she had to do what she had to do to get out that cage. She had to do what she had to do to get out that cage. Wow. So then I was just like, that was insane. So then they switch it back to Joe. He was following this blood trail in this house. It was abandoned. And come to find out it was like these bodies like upside down, and I was like, David is a sick person, man. Like, I thought they was gonna eat the deer, but they was eating the other people, like cutting up the people and making them eat that. I'm like, ain't no way. I would have been like, look, y'all better do something with that deer. We'll eat that. I ain't eating no other. Nah. I was just thinking that while I was watching. I was like, ain't no way I'm eating that enough. And so it was crazy. So then they switched it back. Ellie, she was looking to escape and everything. So she was running. So she ran into this building. So they was both in the building. And she threw the torch and David ducked and the torch hit the window. So the torch was already lit. It was on fire. So then David was like, oh man, like I was like, Ellie is trying to burn that place down. And I mean, it was burning, boy. That building was burning. So then they switched it back. Joe, he was looking for Ellie, um, outside and everything. He was taking his time and stuff. I was like, come on, Joe. Like, you gotta go out there and save Ellie. But David and Ellie, they was trapped in that burning building. So I was like, something gonna have to give and everything. So Ellie, she was crawling. She was crawling. She was trying to stay away from him and everything. And as soon as she found the right opening, David was turned around, boy. She came, she stabbed him in his side, and she got on top of him, and that was it. She just kept stabbing him over and over and over and over and over again. I'm like, damn. And I knew Ellie was kind of relief after that because I mean, David, he was really trying to assault her. Like I was like, David is just a sick person. So it's a good thing that Ellie took out David because he was just a sick person. So then it was nice at the end. Joel and Ellie ran outside and everything, and then Joel grabbed her, and Ellie was just out of her mind. She didn't know what was going on. So I was like, damn. So they both reunited outside. They gave each other a hug, and it's like they both was relieved to find each other. And that's how we end episode 8. My goodness, y'all. Wasn't that a good episode? That was so good. Hope y'all can like, share, and subscribe to King Morgan. Episode 9 gonna be crazy. Stay tuned. Woo!